Good evening. My name is Márton Gyöngyösi. I'm Director for Political Relations with the European Christian Political Party. And my two guests today are Mr. Reinis Pozņaks from Latvia, a Latvian member of the European Parliament, and Mr. Valeriu Ghileţchi, President of the ECPP, the European Christian Political Party. And before we start our discussion today, I would like to ask Mr. Pozņaks just to say a few words about himself, just a personal introduction. I could do it myself, but I think it's much better if you say the important things that our viewers need to know about you.
Yeah, hello everybody. I don't know what to start from. I am not a typical politician. I became a politician not for actually a very good reason, but yeah, I was elected because basically of the war, which, as I said, is not a good reason. But I started a couple days after Russia's invasion in Ukraine. I started a movement to support Ukraine. Basically, it wasn't even planned that it will turn out so, but we delivered with a group of our friends. We basically collected some money and delivered ourselves to Ukraine. And then we came back and realized that they need those cars very much and they need more, but we don't have our own money anymore. So I just wrote on Twitter that we did so, but we need more, and asked people to donate. And then from that point, it basically avalanche happened, and it turned into the national-wide and actually the worldwide phenomenon. This movement we delivered and still delivering cars to Ukraine. It's more than 3,000 at this point, 3,000 cars to basically all over the front line, of course, first of all for soldiers, but also for police, for doctors, for kindergartens, for schools, because transport is a big issue in Ukraine, and that's how I became elected. Because of course the war in Ukraine also shows our weaknesses, which need to be fixed as soon as possible. And at this point, Europe was, in my opinion, too slow, like very too slow. And I just felt that I need to do more, and I need to come to Europe and make it move faster.
A few weeks ago, I was here in the European Parliament when there was the opening of one of the exhibitions here in the European Parliament in Brussels, an exhibition on how it all started with your tweets and your Twitter messages about helping Ukraine. So it would be right to say that this was the primary motivation for you to become a politician and to become a member of the European Parliament.
It was, but we need to be clear that of course we are helping and supporting Ukraine, but we are not doing that just because we love Ukraine. We actually are helping ourselves, because especially in Latvia we clearly understand that we're the next ones, and basically we need to do everything to support Ukraine just to save us. Not it might sound strange, of course we want Ukrainians also to save themselves, but they are indeed like fighting for all of the Europe, and by helping Ukraine we are helping us. That's why I'm saying, when we're talking about giving or not weapons to Ukraine, I'm saying that it's not a choice to give or not the weapons, but where we will use our weapons. And now we still have a choice, like give the weapons to Ukraine or wait until we will need to use them here in Europe.
And a couple of weeks ago, in end of September, you joined the ECPP and the European Christian Political Party. What was your motivation in joining our community?
Well, basically the common values. I think that's the main reason and main motivation, because the party represents the same values I have. I also have a family, 3 children, and all those kind of conservative values is the ones I also share.
Mr. Ghileţchi,
And in those times, it's not so easy to like be kind of conservative, because now, and I think it's also partly Russia's job, or what they're doing. They try to monopolize the conservative and family values, traditional values, yeah, and when you try to like protect it, then it's easy to get the tag Kremlin or something like that, and that's why I think we need more like normal conservative politicians.
Mr. Ghileţchi, ECPP is a party, one of the 12 registered European parties, which is very proud to be the only explicitly Christian party which stands out for Christian values. With regard to the Russian aggression against Ukraine, the party has various political positions and has a political program. What would you highlight as the main program point or position of the party in this regard?
Well, first of all, I would like publicly to welcome Mr. Pozņaks in the European Christian Political Party. It is, I would say, a win-win situation. It's good for Mr. Pozņaks as a member of the European Parliament, but also for us as a party to have a member who shares our common values. And when it comes to Ukraine, I like what just Mr. Pozņaks said, because I'm coming from the Republic of Moldova. Moldova is safe as long as Ukraine resists. So that is important for the security of our country and for the security of Europe. And as an European party, for us, security and peace in Europe is very, very important. And when we speak about peace, we speak about just peace. Not just peace, but just peace. For me, justice, I would say, was one of the motivations I decided to run for politics, and fundamental freedoms, including religious freedom. But again, these fundamental freedoms are very, very important for us in the party, in the ECPP, and I'm very glad that Mr. Pozņaks started with this cause for Ukraine, because we do support Ukraine in this unjust war and this aggression against Russia, and it is our prayer, and we do our best to stop the war, but also to achieve the just peace and to make sure that Ukraine territorial integrity is also preserved, which we are aware it's not an easy issue at all.
I heard some criticisms in what you said when you were describing your activity when there was the outbreak of the war. You said, if I quote you correctly, that well, Europe was slow and the decisions were made very slow, and you wanted to kind of push this agenda forward. Now, after having been a member of the European Parliament for well over a year now, how do you see the EU institutions work? How do you see the working of this institution from inside? And do you think it's enough what the European Parliament is doing in this regard, or the European institutions?
Well, that's a bit issue with European Parliament, that if the European Parliament had the full power, then Ukraine already have, I don't know, nuclear weapons, because Parliament is like fully on the Ukraine side and like insists all the time that for the other European institutions do more. And so from that perspective, of course, Parliament is doing very well and is very supportive. But the issue with Europe, and I think it's general, and also like we forget about this, that we still think that there is one big Europe that can fix the thing, but it's not. There is 27 independent countries, and that's why it's maybe a bit more difficult to like move forward. It's a plus, but it's also minus sometimes. But from the other side, of course, Europe now is doing much more than anybody else. It like compensated all the costs with America stepping back. So, of course, is it enough? No, it's not enough. Enough will be when victory will be. Here, that will obviously show us that it's enough. We, of course, could do faster. But basically, yeah, Europe is stepping up, but still not enough. Yes.
Mr. Ghileţchi, what is enough, and what are the European institutions doing enough in this regard?
Well, I agree with Mr. Pozņaks. I think it can be done much more than it has been done. And especially when we look back, we see after the war started, there was a kind of like a reluctance to help Ukraine, to give enough munition, weapons, airplanes. And now, at the beginning of the war, the morale in Ukraine was much higher than it is today. So I regret that at the beginning, EU, NATO, they were reserved to give more help to Ukraine. I think today there is an awareness that Ukraine needs more help to win the war, or at least to stop the war, because you cannot stop the war if you will just defend yourself. You need to be more proactive. You need to show that you are a strong country, and then you kind of like force the other side to accept some conditions for a peace agreement. So I think that, as I said, there is room to do more for Ukraine. Let's hope that the European Parliament, the European Commission, and Western countries will do more to help Ukraine to, as I said, to achieve, to get to the point when a peace is signed and a just peace is signed.
Which I think is impossible because of Russia.
That would be my next question. You both emphasized not only peace, which everybody speaks about, but I think it's a very important criteria to talk about just peace. Now, in such a situation and such a very complicated conflict, every conflict is complicated, how can you achieve just peace, and what is victory? I think you use the word victory, achieving victory. What is victory?
That is
for Ukraine and for Europe.
One of the issues that we didn't like define what is victory for us or strategy even. With Russians, there is many layers. First of all, I think it's not only like local war, it will define the global future, basically, the outcome of this situation, because it's kind of the crossroads between rule of law and just physical superpower, you know, how you can solve the things with the power or rule of law. And when we come to the rule of law, if we want it back, so which for Russia means like impossible to get to an agreement, because there is a war crimes, there is all that thing. What we do with that? So we cannot just agree that, okay, it's peace and back to business normal. Because the issue with Russia is that they get away with that once already, after the World War II. Because they won, they could do anything to us, to Latvians, to Ukrainians, to Lithuanians, all the deportations after the World War II, basically also the war crimes they committed, they got away with it. And so they think that only one unwritten rule works, that winner doesn't get judged. So that's why you can pay any price just to win. And if we will let away them with that, we will just pass this issue to our children. And that is the biggest issue, and I don't know a solution. I agree in that perspective that this war most likely will end politically, but because of changes in Russia.
And not because of results on the ground.
No, results on the ground can be a huge impulse. and I think one of the main impulses, like to create some changes inside the Russia. But I think that's the only way how it's possible to solve this situation.
What is victory?
Well, again, there are, I would say, different scenarios, to end this war. One, of course, would be to get back all the territories that were lost during the war. This would be a victory, an ideal victory. But we are aware, and I again agree with Mr. Pozņaks, that this is almost mission impossible today. And it's impossible also for a difference in doctrine, military doctrine. The NATO and the West, they defend themselves. Russia has a different doctrine. They attack, they conquer. For us, it's kind of like this is not our doctrine, to attack, to conquer, we just defend. It's like, if I use this metaphor, you're playing with black. And for us, the victory is to achieve this like equality, what is in the chess.
Chess is at the end, when nobody wins.
Yeah, nobody wins. Nobody wins. This equality kind of like, you come to that nobody wins, no white, no black wins. So this is kind of the situation we are in today. So we need to be aware of this. We need either to change our military doctrine and counterattack, or to work hard to achieve that, equality in the game and say, okay, let's stop the war. But it's not an easy mission at all. So, of course, it requires courage. It requires a lot of, assessment. What can be done? From what we know from history, you cannot win a war or even achieve a peace if you are very weak. So that is very important, to be strong in this conflict. Otherwise, I don't think we can end in a very good situation.
But I just want to add to it. It is kind of time when Europe has chance to prove that it's real power, not just geographical area. And of course, when remember we had this Alaska meeting, and of course there was a lot of people saying, see, no one take Europe serious, that they are not even invited. But I think why we should be there, why we should negotiate with the war criminal. All we have to do is stand with Ukraine, basically, and do everything that they can win. Because for us, the issue, I think, will be still, even if Ukraine will say, okay, we are fine, Russia can take whatever they want in territory, but still, how will we able to accept this? That, okay, you can commit crimes and like we will forget it in some cases and back to usual. So I think now that's why it is important. Basically, as I said, it is the crossroads where the world will decide how we're going to live, with the physical power or rule of law.
As far as Europe is concerned and the European institutions, you have been talking about slow decision making and within the EU being 27 member states basically deciding the fate of the European cooperation. Many observers and many people, opinion shapers, they say that until there is no common foreign policy or common foreign defense, or at least steps where national member states, preserving their sovereignty, coordinate defense efforts or at least foreign policy, there will be never, Europe will never be taken seriously, especially by strong players or aggressors such as Russia. There is a completely different mentality. They always play with the white, they always make the first move, and we are always just trying to build a strategy as a second step and maximum come out to an equal position. What are the obstacles within the EU institutions? Are these obstacles? And if these are obstacles, then what what shall be done to change this?
Well, I think that is true, that institutions will never be the leaders. But in crises, as in any kind of crisis, you need leaders. And also, historically, we saw in the World War II, we basically had one strong leader in Europe who basically saved us. And I think that is reality. We just need basically leaders and leading nations, I would say, in some times. But I still think it's I don't know how to explain it. At this point, actually, the task is not so difficult. We just need to become physically stronger, just simply physically build muscles, and each country but it is now like debate, because there's also like discussions about kind of federalization of European Union or sovereignty of countries. So which direction to go? But I think that in the defense and security we have to cooperate much more than we are doing now. But I still think that the main pillar of security and safety is NATO. But we as a Europe must become a much bigger part of NATO.
Under the NATO umbrella,
Yes.
we have to become much more
Yes.
autonomous
Yes.
as a
Yes.
continent and as a
Yes.
civilization,
Yes.
or as a continent, if you permit. Mr. Ghileţchi, would you agree with that?
Well, yes, I would agree. I am aware, and we are aware, that the European Union today is not a state. So we are a union of states, and which means it's not easy to coordinate the policies when it comes to foreign policy or security. There are areas, and which is good, that are left to the member states. So there are sphere of competence, and that is good. That's why we share, one, let's say, umbrella. At the same time, especially in the time of war, we need to be aware that there is a greater need for unity when it comes to security, when it comes to military, to defense. These are important issues where secondary things, they need to be left out. And we need to focus on these things that unite us, because this is existential, especially in this kind of war. These are existential threats to the European peace and European solidarity. So that's why I think I support. By the way, many people criticize Mr. Trump for some of the statements, but as Mr. Pozņaks said, when Europe becomes stronger, that is good for Europe.
Exactly.
It's good to rely on a good ally like United States, but Europe also need to take the fate in its own hands and to act in this regard.
That was actually when someone asked what is my political goal in the parliament, I'm always saying that I just want the next elections in the United States, watch with a popcorn and not with a nerve pills, because we are strong ourselves and we cannot worry about the mood changes with our strategic and important partners, but still we are self-sufficient. But what I wanted to say about this security, it's nothing about the change of politics. No, we have armies, we had them always. The issue is that they are just too weak when we have not enough weapons. We just need to build the muscles. It's not about like new policies or switching in that perspective. We just need to. We've been reading books for many years, never had in mind that we will need to fight again. But now, the new reality is that maybe we will need to fight. We just need to go to the gym now and build the muscles.
Yes, since the Second World War, I think we got used to somebody else giving us guarantees of military security while we trade and we build our economy and our social policies and welfare states. And I agree with you, Mr. Ghileţchi, when you say that sometimes it takes it takes a situation and takes someone to point out your weakness to get your act together. So we needed a military conflict, and we needed somebody to point out that it's not going to be forever that somebody else is paying the bill of your security.
So you see, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and we both come from, and in fact, all three of us come from former kind of like socialist bloc, but we come from the former Soviet Union. There was a, how to say, there was this naivety in a way. There was a dream that we come to the end of history, as Fukuyama said, the last man and the end of history. But very soon we realized that we are still in this clash of civilizations, and we need to be aware of this. And when you are in such clash of civilizations, you need to be very strong. You need to be strong if you want to resist, if you want to exist, and so on. So that is important for the European and Western leaders to realize nowadays that this is what is needed.
Just to conclude, what would be, for both of you, what would be the main message or call for action for well, voters or supporters or followers of the European Christian Political Party? What is what you would urge them to do, the message, the call to action? Mr. Ghileţchi.
Yeah. Well, our Prime Minister, Mr. Munteanu, is today in Brussels. We flew together last night to Brussels. He came to Brussels after the elections in Moldova with this message that Moldova belongs to Europe. Moldova belongs to the European Union. Because one let's say, good results, one good result after this war was that European Union granted this candidate status for Ukraine and Moldova. So we would like to use this opportunity and make progress in our European integration. But Mr. Pozņaks mentioned something earlier, that sometimes in our countries, people, when they see that you promote conservative Christian values, you are closer to Mr. Putin, which is a lie. It is false. I mean, we are here in the European Parliament, and we can prove that we are here in the European Parliament promoting and defending those Christian conservative values. And part of that value is the right to defend yourself, the right to a secure life in your own country. But that comes also from this Christian worldview. So that Christian worldview that was the foundation when the European Union started, I think it's important to realize this. So nowadays we can send this message to our electorate that we need to stay together, we need to pray, but as faith without deeds is dead, we need to pray, but we need also to act. So prayer and action, they need to go together. So this will make sure that we have a bright future for our countries and for Europe.
Mr. Pozņaks.
Yes, it's very difficult to add something to this. Yeah, we need to fight for our values and for Europe. And actually, Ukraine is the only nation who voted for joining the Europe with their lives, because we all had the referendums. But Ukraine, the Maidan, the full name was Euromaidan, and it was protest against the president's decision not sign the agreement with European Union. So we must stand with them, and as I said, it's not even matter you don't like Ukrainians, like you like them or not, but this is a fight for the values and again for the rule of law. So and it's fight for us and our existence. So we just need to stand with them until the victory.
Thank you very much. We can conclude that both the European political party and MEPs have work to do to make Europe and the European institutions stronger, more resilient, also in the area of foreign affairs and defense. Thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.